Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Big roster updates happening today. M80 GG potentially locking in a large swathe of their new roster, with Nitro, it seems, returning to VALORANT after a brief stint away, but also Evil Geniuses. The latest rumour is they could well be forced as a team to stay together, all of them under contract jail. What does this mean for the rest of the league? What does it mean for 100 Thieves with Busio? Could Demon 1 potentially still go to NRG? Very much on Twitter, your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new. As always, I would greatly appreciate it. Plenty to get into. Firstly, there was actually a bit of a show match played yesterday in San Jose between the new Cloud9 and, well, Moist Moguls, Moist Shopify Rebellion, whatever they're called now. So it was a cool little match that they played here, this Red Bull double agent tournament. They played 3 maps, I believe, and it ended in a 3-0 victory for the boys on Cloud9. Maybe not massively unexpected, but still they're starting off the season on a good track. I mean, the season is far from beginning, but nonetheless, there's also rumours they have all signed a deal until 2026, which is, this is, to be honest, quite confusing. This team of 5 plus their coach is, on paper, all right. I mean, I don't think they're anything spectacular, you know. We've got Vanity here, we've got Jake, we've got Oxy, we've got Zephyr, we've got Whippy. It's a decent team. I don't think they're going to be mixing it up to winning champions, but who knows, right? I mean, I would have said the same for Evil Geniuses last season, and look what they went on to do. But they did have to make a change to make that happen, with Demon 1 coming in and becoming an absolute demon on the server, right? In and out of the server, to be fair, because he was talking all sorts of trash as well, which is exciting for the new season, wherever he potentially ends up. But to 2026, like, you know, don't tell me that you see this roster of 5 staying the same for the next 3 years. Like, there's just no chance that happens. It's just that these contracts tend to favour the team massively. If they want to drop a player, they can just drop the player, and I don't really think that it's going to cost them any money. It's not like the players are going to be guaranteed that money until 2026. Cloud9 wouldn't sign a contract that didn't favour them, probably. And that's how things tend to go. That, sure, the contract looks nice on paper for the players, looks like the players are getting some guaranteed cash. The reality is that's not always how it works, and there's some sort of clause where they could just break that contract off if necessary. And it probably will be necessary, because you're telling me this team of 5 stays the same for the next 3 years. I'm not so convinced. So anyway, they've started well, and 3-0 versus the boys on MXS Valorant, so Moist x Shopify, and yeah, so good stuff. Vanity gets the win. I will mention that the other day, this team was spotted playing with this 5, Moose, Vic, B-Dog, Brock, and Thief. And so they were playing with these guys, with, you know, B-Dog in the team was pretty interesting actually as well. But yet yesterday they played with this roster of 5, of course with Flyer back in as well, he should be, Vic, Brock, Flyer, Thief, and Marder. So there's some questions as to whether, because Marder didn't have the greatest time here, whether he's the best option, whether they should think a little bit more, because they've kind of combined the rosters, you know, what the guys were doing on Moist Esports and what the guys were doing on Shopify Rebellion. So there's questions as to whether this roster is the best iteration of those players they could come up with, and maybe there's some other ideas they need to think about. But the new Cloud9, they got the job done. They won the split 13-10. They won the bind 13-11. There was also another map, I guess I'll just quickly find, because they also played a best of 1 here on Sunset, actually. Yes, that was 13-11 in Cloud9's favour as well, with Oxy on the Yoru having some good results. So yeah, interesting to see. All the maps were close though, to be fair. It wasn't like Moist Shopify got blown out of the park, but Cloud9 got the job done with a 3-0. Nice to see these, you know, I'm just like, there's no matches, you know what I mean? Like, we've got to talk about stuff like this because the season is very delayed, because Riot do what Riot and many other esports products seem to do at the moment, which is have a massive off-season for very little reason. Now, this is a big talking point as well. You guys know that Wolves, this football club in the UK, are partnered up with Evil Geniuses, but now they're also looking to recruit a Chinese Valorant roster. They are owned by Fossen Sports, who currently have a strategic partnership with Peak 6, who own Evil Geniuses. So that's kind of where that relationship is. But that's the question, like, if they have their own Chinese Valorant team, what does that mean for the EG partnership? And what does that mean for EG's potential money coming in? I don't know. We'll see how that goes, because EG are in all sorts of controversy over the last few days, and for good reason. This also Crew, which is, you know, so this is Nags, right, you know, leaving the team. Kind of sad to see, because he's been there so long. It feels like he's just been an absolutely integral part of the, you know, part of the furniture really at that organization, and now he's moving on. We'll see what their new roster is supposedly going to be in a second. Hopefully he can still provide some good value elsewhere, but yeah, Nags not being on crew feels kind of strange because he's just been there the whole time, pretty much at least. So, yeah, crew looking to take some steps forwards. This also from Leviathan. We know that their team is probably going to be pretty good, and this is seemingly a teaser for their roster announcements. They show that on the 11th of October, so in just over a week's time, they've got the wind or whatever. It's kind of implying that maybe the ASPAS is going to be announced here is what I'm looking at. So yeah, 11th of October, keep your eyes peeled because possibly an ASPAS announcement from Leviathan on that day. Let's talk M80. One of the only real big rumours we have in the Tier 2 scene is what they're up to. We still don't know who their fifth man is going to be. The big rumour lately has been Koala Noob, Xander, Nismo are returning all to M80. We know that John QT, of course, has gone over to Sentinels now. And, who's going to take up the gelling role? Could be, Xander could maybe do it, but they're bringing in Nitro, formerly of 100 Thieves. Then, of course, he went to Liquid, was it CSGO recently? Then CSGO's kind of come to an end, so Nitro had to make the call. Do we go to content? Do we stay in CS2? Come back to Valorant? His decision is to come back to Valorant. M80, we know, have decent money, right? It's not quite Bleed Esports money, but it's decent money. They can pay for these guys. And there's clearly a massive amount of confidence in M80 that they can win Ascension next year. And they probably should. I mean, already looking at this roster, their chances to win next year's Ascension should be like 60+%. I mean, they were the only real candidate to do so. Outside of the Union from Brazil, they were pretty good, but outside of the Guard, really, right? It was the Guard versus M80 to make it, and they win the finals. The Guard ended up getting the job done. M80 will feel like this time is their time, and it's the same as what Disguised Toast said a couple of months ago, that he said, well, this year the Guard make it, next year M80 make it, then maybe next year it'll be our turn, right? Because eventually you're going to run out of good teams, and therefore the likes of DSG could maybe make it at some point. But we saw Xander sign the contract on the 22nd of September. We saw yesterday Koala Noob sign the deal. And then today, we see the exact same contract graphic come through from Nitro. He signed the deal, and, pretty much this is a return to Valorant and probably to M80. What we don't really know, who's the fifth going to be? I mean, if you guys are building this team, Koala Noob, Xander, Nismo, Nitro +1, what are you looking for? There has been rumours about BCJ and a couple of other players, and BCJ is now less linked than he was before to go to 100 Thieves, so maybe that's a possibility, but we'll see. I mean, there's some options out there. I'm sure they've got some ideas, but we haven't seen anything else on that quite as of yet. So as of yesterday, Flynn, I believe, took a couple of days away. He was on the road doing some other things, but back to work, he says, cooking up the spreadsheet. And this is where things get really interesting, especially in the Americas. So in the Pacific, just to go through it quite quickly, a couple of changes to Zeta as well. Depp, Laz, Junior, Crow, probably more likely than they were before. So Zeta, bit of a rebuild happening. DRX as well. Foxy9 is pretty much going to stay on. So they're doing nothing at all. And maybe they think that that's a good idea. I'm not so convinced the DRX shouldn't have made a change. I think they should have considered it more heavily than they did, given their frank lack of results over the last couple of years. But Foxy9 will stay on as their kind of sixth man, it seems. Yay, we know to bleed is now officially a thing. EMEA, you're just looking for these changes, really. So, yeah, so we saw the players on Foot Esports the other day, and there's a couple of things. Safe has now been confirmed to Vitality, and Baddie G added as a potential option for Liquid, who are, I imagine, still going through some trials. Now, this is the Americas. Cloud9 have now been confirmed since the most recent spreadsheet update. This is the new Crew Esports roster, the new Leviathan roster, as we saw the other day. Loud are still going through their decision-making, right? There's been lots of questions as to what Sulek is going to do, who's going to IGL. Sulek pretty much said that it is going to be him, but still people aren't 100% convinced that's actually going to happen. Now, this is when we get back to Evil Geniuses and what they're up to. We believe that they turned down a pretty big offer from NRG for Demon 1 and Ethan. Now, whether if NRG were to come back with a greater offer, they could still get that deal done, possibly yes, even if only for one of those players. But now, the other players on the roster, Jorgamo, Boostio, great players, a world championship winning team, all world champions. Were they as sought after as Demon 1 and Ethan? Probably not, but yet they did have other possibilities. Boostio, we thought, was going to 100 Thieves. That was, for some time, quite likely. And now it's considered unlikely. The The same with Com. Com was actually linked there as well. Now that's considered to be less likely. We can see here that, you know, the likelihood of BCJ and Com has gone down, according to Flynn. The likelihood of EU has gone up, according to Flynn. And the likelihood of Boostio, Com, and Jorgamo to all stay on EG has gone up as well. And if that's gone up, then also you would think that the likelihood of Jorgamo to go to G2, which was the possibility, has gone down. So what's happening here? What is going on with EG behind the scenes? Because the latest rumor is that the World Championship winning team will effectively stay together again. Although it's not, you know, it's not convinced yet. It seems like EG would be willing to sell, but only for the right price. And I don't know what their negotiation is doing right now, but it seems like they're hearing offers and they're saying, yeah, we might do that. And then actually, no, we ain't doing that. Would the team, let's say this team of 5 actually does end up staying together, will they be happy as a 5? Like, sure, they just won champs together, but there's got to be some weird friction there, no? Like, with their organization, with their, I don't know, it's a bit weird when you've had players that have gone to try with other teams and now they're back again. I don't know, maybe they can put it behind them if that happens. But I still think there's a chance that one of them gets stolen away somewhere. For example, NRG, we still don't have anyone linked to their, let's say, duelist role. Now, Stella was at it. I'm telling you guys, Squirreliest he stays cooking. I mean, we saw the other day, Squirreliest, this VLR account, was talking about how Stella to NRG was going to happen, and now Flynn adds it, and he doesn't add it based on Squirreliest, he actually adds it based on his own sources. So that's very interesting. That's a rumor, Stella to NRG. So maybe they were like, all right, we can afford 100k to get Demon 1 and Ethan, but they won't say yes to 100k for Demon 1 and Ethan. So how about we get Stella from 100 Thieves, or formerly of 100 Thieves, and we'll put all that 100k into getting Demon 1. I don't know, but still, there's no other link here for NRG to a player in that role. And if Jorgamo is going to be staying on AG anyway, then what do G2 do? Do they, you know, get Leaf, which we thought they were going to get? Does Leaf go to NRG? I don't know. I mean, it's really interesting, but I still think there's a chance, and Demon 1 is still linked to NRG as a rumor, right? I mean, the latest updated spreadsheet as of yesterday, he's still linked there as a potential rumor, so I wouldn't rule it out yet. But there are lots of interesting things happening at the moment, so yeah, what do you guys predict to happen, especially with these two rosters? What's EG going to be? Are they going to be the same again? And what are NRG going to do as a result? Because they are kind of stuck in no man's land here with the changes they've tried to make that have no longer happened. And as we can see, like, Stella has gone from... Stella's now the more likely of the two players between Stella and Ethan. So that makes me wonder whether Ethan stays in EG and they just try and put together a mega bag to get Demon 1. I wouldn't rule it out entirely, but very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.